How are Agilists faring in the pandemic? How are we finding meaning and purpose in these troubled times? How can we connect, inspire, and support each other? We will explore answers to these questions and more. This is Agile Caravanserai. I'm Sanjeev Augustine. Alistair Cockburn is one of the 17 signatories of the Agile Manifesto. He's the author of the Crystal Orange methodology and the founder of the Heart of Agile movement. Back in 2002, Alistair wrote this seminal book on Agile methods. It was called Agile Software Development, a Cooperative Game, and it brought his unique methodologist view to Agile methods. I met Alistair in those early days and was taken in by his energy, his passion, and his erudition. Alistair and I had several conversations that stick with me to this day, several years later. For instance, we had a conversation of this obscure concept called autopoesis, or the self-generating, self-sustaining, or self-maintaining structure of living systems, originally coined by Maturana and Varela. Another conversation that I can remember with Alistair was about his passion for designing spaces, both on Agile teams and also in Agile conferences, with such attention to detail. He thought about them as gardens and how to grow them and bring people together so that we could thrive. I really believe that one of the reasons that we have the Agile community today is because of Alistair's contribution in bringing together this global community for the very first time in 2003 in Salt Lake City and having the first unified conference right back in that day. Along with David Anderson, Jim Highsmith, who brought us all together, as well as Ole Jepsen and Mike Cohn, Alistair also influenced the Declaration of Interdependence. Alistair's influence has been fairly wide-ranging as well. For instance, most people may not know about his Crystal Orange methodology, but Crystal Orange methodology, in my opinion, really forms the basis of scaled Agile methods today, including the scaled Agile framework and disciplined Agile. Over the years, Alistair has been a force of nature, rallying people behind the Agile cause. Today, he brings them together with this Heart of Agile movement and seeks to bring all of us back to the first principles of Agile. Alistair Cockburn. Alistair, so good to see you. It's been quite a while, but it's wonderful to see you again. And thank you for joining me on this conversation. I got a few questions for you. And let's sort of jump straight into the first one. It's coming up on the 20th anniversary of the Agile Manifesto, and you are one of the original signatories, and you've inspired so many people around the world. So I want to start off by asking you, what are your reflections on the Agile movement looking backwards over the last 20 years?
All right. Good question, because I've been having some in the last couple of months. So for the first 10 years, I just said, we wrote the Agile Manifesto. Agile means whatever we said in the manifesto. Don't look left, right, up, or down. Just do that. Then I started getting this unsettled feeling in the last 10 years that it got like super complicated. It was supposed to be simple. Complications, decorations. 5 years ago, I did a resimplification for Heart of Agile, which has only 4 words: collaborate, deliver, reflect, and improve. And with those 4, you capture all of the essence. In the last year, 2 years, but for sure the last year, I've dropped the Agile Manifesto, and this will come in when you're looking predictions into the future, or reflections into the future. And I use the dictionary definition: the ability to move quickly and with ease and change directions. The ability to move quickly and with ease, change directions, now applies outside of software for everything, right? So the reflection is, it got too complicated. It got very structural, very process and tool oriented. We forgot the individuals and interactions part. So at the Heart of Agile, I went to pure attitude, pure behavior, resimplification, took it out of software, right? But the other thing I want to say in the reflections, and this is recent, I've heard for years people complaining about the Agile industrial complex, certification mess. And for years I said, this is ordinary human behavior. If you ever come up with anything successful or good, it will get perverted by those who want money and influence, and there's nothing you can do about it. Live with it, okay? within the last 6 months, I would say I think I've changed my tune a bit, and I'm okay finally that Agile needs a kick in the shorts. It needs a redirection, right? It's something that will take it out of the Agile industrial complex, the chase for certificates and stuff like that. And so that's in my reflection, right? The first part was the growing complexity and my antidote to that, the shift, the change in the definition. But now I think we're ready for really, really some movement. How do we take it away from the industrialists, right? The Industrial Revolution, factory owners have taken it. And the question on the table is how can we, at least to some extent, like wrestle it from their hands? That's my reflection on the last 20 years.
Awesome. So thank you very much. I love your phrase, how do you move quickly and with ease? And because I've known you for a long time, I know that you're a champion, Olympic champion swimmer.
Not Olympic, please. I have a world record, but it was...
world record. I thought you were Olympic. Okay.
World record's pretty good. Let me tell you about a world record. When you have a world record, you didn't just beat everybody who showed up at that meet. You beat everybody who ever swam.
Wow.
History. And there's a unique feeling to being like, I am the fastest person in my age group in history.
Well, sir, my guess is you're also the fastest person among that 17 folks who signed the manifesto.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
And you're a poet, and all of that is pretty amazing, right? So how are you doing in the pandemic with all this stuff?
Oh, wow. So I was very fortunate. I had a good gig immediately before the shutdown. I banked. So I said, okay, there's going to be 6 months without income. So I banked 6 months and planned it. I actually was okay for a year, but I didn't really want to use a whole year. But I got hit. So what happened? So I would say this was a study in pivot. My last 6 months have been pivot. So the first thing they did was I do CrossFit. It's a wonderful gym. And they closed the CrossFit gym. The CrossFit gym rented out their equipment. So I rented a ski machine, a rowing machine, and a pair of 50-pound dumbbells. I got more fit during the lockdown from doing ski. So that was a pivot. That worked. I actually when the lockdown was over, I gave the equipment back. I actually got more out of shape going back and doing the regular CrossFit. I really felt it. Then in the summer, I was getting super fit again. No dancing. So dancing was out. And so I substituted sunsets. So I'd be doing sunsets. Then I found a volleyball group. So I was doing volleyball sunsets. Then in August, I did a bad deadlift and I herniated my disc. Then I went to a dermatologist and had some melanomas removed. So I was cut up all over my skin, broken back. And so I couldn't do CrossFit. I couldn't do volleyball. I couldn't do dancing. So I pivoted and I got a saxophone and said, I'll learn saxophone. And I got tap shoes and I learned to dance tap. So I was practicing. But the weight of the saxophone literally pulled on my herniated disc. So I had to put this. So pivot again. I learned to play the saxophone balancing it on my desk, right? Because I can't hold it.
Yeah.
And I found a drumming circle where I could wear my tap shoes. And I don't know anything about tap, but I would make tapping sounds. So yeah, this has been like all pivoty. And then professionally putting stuff online, teaching online, building up all of that. So this has been Pivot City. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're not just pivoting, but you're also pivoting within constraints, right? With some injuries and some other stuff going on over there.
That's it. The pivot's not free. So what happens is all the doors close that you're used to going through. People say when one door closes, another door opens. That's not the way I think about it. Because the door doesn't magically open. When one door closes, you hunt for another door that you could open or kick down that gives you a different path. So you have to take agency, right? So getting the saxophone and the tap shoes was not a door that opened. That was something I decided, right?
You had to make it open.
Yeah. And going online, right? That's not natural. That's been really hard work, right? Yeah. My friend and colleague, Tony Christensen, is Australian. He has a house and a family and lives in Edinburgh. He went back to Australia on vacation. COVID hit, and he's been locked there for 8 months now. I can't go back to Edinburgh. So he's been doing very interesting things. And one of the things he just did is he bought a double-decker bus, which he bought it, and his wife bought a double-decker bus, which had been done as a hippie house kind of a thing. And they're rebuilding it. They're going to do Airbnb when they aren't driving it, and they're going to drive around Australia. And I just want to give his sentence, because all of that's set up for his sentence. He said, this year has been a very good year for lateral thinking. As an alternative with the pivot, lateral things, but something bad happens, you do some lateral thinking, and you create something different. Wonderful. And this has been the year. You look at the people who've done well; they're pretty good at the lateral thinking, and they go something new. Yeah, it's been the year.
So that's wonderful. So moving quickly and with ease, but also changing
direction,
but doing it through through lateral thinking. Yeah. So our third question for you, as we sort of start to look forward, there are Agilists all over the world, and many of them are associated with your movement, Heart of Agile. What kind of advice and inspiration do you have for all of those wonderful folks out there who are obviously facing a hard time? Everyone around the world facing the hard time. We got several months more possibly for the before we sort of come out of the COVID lockdowns and all that. So what advice do you have for people out there and inspiration?
Well, so by the way, that was not the question you said you were going to ask.
I did a little pivot of my own.
Be a reflection into the future, right?
Yeah.
I don't have specific advice. There's everybody I know, bad things are happening. I love the Argentinian. I was talking with an Argentinian this morning, and in Argentina, so many bad things have happened that they celebrate everything good that happens, right?
Every little thing.
With two people, and someone says, I spoke to my mother on the telephone last night, and the other person says, oh, that's wonderful. Oh, qué bueno. They say qué bueno, right? I had a cup of tea this morning. Oh, qué bueno.
Qué bueno.
Everything. And that's the first thing you have to do, because there's so much stuff going wrong, right? You have to find there's a patch of sunlight. Oh, I love this sunlight. Oh my God, I love this sunlight, right? This is what you got. This is how you got. Yeah. That little patch of sunlight, then you just enjoy the hell out of it, right?
Yeah.
You have to do that in the lateral thinking and so on. Can I jump to the question about the future?
Please do.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about the future. So if we follow the trajectory of Agile, right, it started off in software. We, and including you, way back in 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, tried to get it out of software, right? And everybody refused. And there are still some manifesto authors who say it's really only for software. And I don't know why, right? This is completely general. So my prediction, it's not a prediction, it's happening. So the looking forward is the expansion of Agile into every possible initiative. Okay. And I've literally had to retrain my language over the last 3 years. I never say software, I don't say product. I occasionally say project, I try usually to say initiatives. So anybody who's trying to make a change in the world, that's your initiative, whatever that is, right. Family, religion, private life, professional life, whatever. Trying to make a change in the world. And so that's why, for me, the 4 words, collaborate, deliver, reflect, improve, are absolutely devoid of any reference to products. So my entire language now, the classes we teach, Heart of Agile, all of our languaging we mention decisions, we mention deliveries, we mention feedback, we mention touch the world, probe the world, collaborate, reflect, improve. And so we're already, and I'm going to call out a couple of people's names in Latin America. Costa Rican lady called Rocio Briceño started a thing called Social Impact Agile. People working with villages trying to get water or whatever. And as a former lawyer, mountain climber, and the thing in Latin America they call Buenestar, which is well-being, Monica del Suc. And they're both working outside of software completely, right? So they're working in governmental agencies, nonprofits, NGOs, villages, legal profession. There are people who are doing this with families, how to rate, and people doing it with education. So the thing to do is to practice talking without referencing the word product
or project.
I can get most of my language without project. I do initiative most of the time, and every now and then I'll say project when I need it, right? And this is the future of Agile. So software has been kind of done. People are arguing about, dot the I, cross the T. The reception, the uptake is really, really good when you show people the better you collaborate, the better it goes. You have to touch the world probe, get feedback, pause, think about it, right? Reflect, and decide what to improve. And that's applicable and being picked up, well everywhere. So that's for me, the new Agile is the Agile outside of software for ordinary people doing ordinary things. And that's got a long future.
Awesome. That's wonderful, Alistair. Any closing thoughts as we sort of look for the future of Agile and the future of the next?
Just it's good to see you again, Sanjeev. You've been at this for 20 years yourself, 15, 20 years. You're looking good, man. And I just wish you continued success.
Thank you very much. And the very same coming back to you, Alistair. It's been fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. See ya.